I was a big fan of your dad, not because he was a big White Sox fan, and I'm a big White Sox fan, and I shouldn't bring that on the platform because I'm a fan of everyone. I love the Cubs too, okay? So, don't believe me. Anyways, your dad, on the serious side, your dad, he was a very special man in many ways.
Yes, he was.
Can you say something about your dad? Welcome to another episode of Unshackled Building Bridges. This is Deyra Mercado. She's our CEO, executive from Unshackled Building Bridges, and we want to introduce her to you, but we're going to let her tell the story.
So I think first and foremost, I am a servant to God. And then followed by that, very closely, I am a mother of three. And I have been given the honor of being the secretary to Unshackled Building Bridges, which is an honor to me. And yeah, that's who I am today.
That's who you are today. So what got you to where you are? How did it all start? When did it start? And also, like, when did you remember starting, like, to correspond with Ronnie and really getting close to him and start moving out for him? Because from my understanding, from knowing you, because I know you guys a little bit personally, so I know that you really went out your way, you moved out, you know, and everybody wished they had a sister like you.
So, Ronnie was 7 years old when he went to jail. So,
excuse me. Deyra was 7 years old when I went to prison. I was not 7 years old.
That's our secretary.
First, let us cover this and we'll relax a little bit. This is my younger sister, and I happen to be, as you know from previous podcasts, I was incarcerated. I spent 47 years in prison, and the person that rallied to my side, my younger brother, my older brother, my sister, she was the tech as far as doing emails, gatherings, feedings, and all that. So I'll let her finish from there. But that's not where it started. It was a process of training. It didn't just happen overnight. There was a period of time things went through. We'll let her explain.
Okay, so yes, I was 7 years old when Ronnie went to prison, and my relationship with him was, I really don't remember it very well. We weren't allowed, I wouldn't say we weren't allowed, but we didn't interact much when we were kids. So my relationship with him would have started when I was probably 9 or 10 years old when I first visited the jail. But even when we did visit, the conversations that were held at the table were more between my mom and my dad and Ronnie, where my sister and I and my little brother would just kind of sit there and look around. So that's where it started.
And this is where it's at today. So I'd like to ask you then, can you take us back when you had conversations with Ronnie about building the Mothers of Mercy, which is a program that you guys had started way back then?
Oh, yes.
It evolved to, I guess, what we have today.
So we had, that probably was a good 20 years ago, I would think, right? When Facebook first started, we had the idea of building a little
outreach.
Yeah, an outreach program called Mothers of Mercy. And so I did. I built one on Facebook, and it grew quickly. You know, like first I had 100 friends, then I had 200, 300. I think in a matter of like 6 months, right? We were up to like 6,000.
Wow.
And the people kept coming and coming, and I'm like, Ronnie, this is crazy. Every time when I go online, there's more people. And we would feed the page with his writings, Ronnie's writings. He would send me informational bulletins, such as like the phone, you know, like the phone for the inmates, and how people needed to reach certain be interested. We needed to get people to be interested because the phone rates were too high. So we would put bulletins out on that. Then we did a pen pal thing where people were writing me and saying, "Hey, my brother's incarcerated. No one writes them. Can you?" So I would do that. I would put the people's names on there. Hey, anyone interested in having a pen pal? And then I would put the people's names and all their contact information. And once I did that, then I got more and more. There's some funny stories that came from there. But then all of a sudden one day when I went online, our page was gone. They wiped us out.
So let me ask you a question real quick. I kind of, I've been with you guys almost through this whole trip. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And I'm kind of part of it too. But I know that there was a time when you were on social media and you almost cried because of what people were saying on social media to you. And that kind of brought you kind of to tears, and you were kind of not really agitated about it. And I kind of told you, don't worry about it, something like that. I don't know if you recall that time. Can you tell us something about that?
I think sitting in the chair opposite, when you have somebody incarcerated, there's always the pros and the cons. There's people pro and people that don't want the person to come out, right? So we on that page sometimes we would get why are you targeting, why are you so interested in helping the prisoner, what's this page about? And I think that's ultimately what got it shut down. And then I would throughout the years of standing by his side, it wasn't always a positive thing. We had a lot of backlash,
right.
As a family.
Yeah, as a family.
Yeah, of course. You get people that are totally not interested in his release. Yeah.
So, I'm going to ask you another question before I give it to Ronnie and let him ask you a couple questions, mm-hmm. and then I'll get back at you. But I want to ask you a real personal question. I remember Maria, your sister, mm-hmm. and she was a big part of you guys because she's your sister, of course. But, I want you to talk to me about what Maria, when Ronnie, I know all you guys wanted Ronnie to come out. Everybody wanted Ronnie to come out, very emotional, 47 years behind bars, everything. But Maria is not here today. Can you say something for her?
Absolutely. Maria was she was a big cheerleader.
Big sister.
Yeah.
She was a big sister.
She was a big cheerleader for Ronnie. I think we've all, when I say we, our family, even with Ronnie, we've talked about, God, if Maria was only here, and my dad. They missed out on a big part of life.
You kind of stole the next question away from me because I was also going to ask you about your dad because I was a big fan of your dad, not because he was a big White Sox fan, and I'm a big White Sox fan, and I shouldn't bring that on the platform because I'm a fan of everyone. I love the Cubs too, okay? So, believe me. Anyways, mm-hmm. Your dad, on the serious side, your dad, he was a very special man in many ways.
Yes, he was.
Can you say something about your dad? If not, it's okay.
No, I can say a lot about my dad. So, if I have to look back on anything, I remember every time we went to the parole board, because the last couple times he didn't go. So every time he would go, he's like, "What do you think?" And I remember him in his recliner just looking up at me and, "What do you think? What do you think?" And I got that from a lot of people. I don't know if people just thought I had the magic answer, but my dad was one of them. He believed what I said. And I go, "Dad, it looks better this time than it did that last time, Dad. We're gonna get him out. Don't worry." And so he never gave up. He always had hope. He believed in the system, and I just wish he would have hung on a little longer. But yeah, my dad was Ronnie's champion all the way.
Amen to that. Ronnie, I don't know if you want to ask her a couple questions or a few.
Well, speaking after her, to speak about my father, every year that we would go to the turmoil, it was a trauma every year to repeat the same thing over and over, and they would get derogatory in the language and speak things that had no relevance to a person re-entering society or what they're gonna do. It's just bad statements. So to protect my father as he got older, we would say, hey, Daddy, don't worry about it. The brothers will step forward or the sisters will step forward and take it from there. So the whole family played a role for decades and decades. So what I recognized in my sister, she went to a hearing about 2009, was a clemency hearing. So Deyra went and heard some of the factors going on. Before that, she was not part of the legal system, not going to the court system, not knowing what appeals are, not knowing what the Supreme Court, appellate court, not knowing what reversals are, not knowing the legal language, not knowing the Constitution. So she got affected or affected by a hearing that she went to, I think it was 2009, and listening to the factors and the way they were represented, you could say it charged her batteries that this is not right here. So as we communicated, because her children were small, back then it was $15 a phone call to call, so you can't call your house and from a mother with 3 kids and put every day $15 bill on the phone and stuff like that. So communication was long and wide.
I remember that.
So as we started communicating more and more, and I started explaining to her why the system is, to her questions that she asked at that time. So one of the major things that I emphasized with her was the reason we don't win or the reason we don't gain ground is because our communication is so separate and is done on purpose. So it takes 5 days for a letter to reach from me, from where I was, to her, 7 or 8 days to answer back. The window of your opportunity goes away in them long systems like that. So she was savvy to the email, savvy to the texting. So that's what I wanted to incorporate in. So that's where we talked to each other and said, hey, let's do this Mothers of Mercy prison interest. And in there, she actually went and communicated to every college in the state of Illinois to gain support. Every sociologist, every criminologist, every psychologist, and we started writing the bulletins of what was wrong or blocking people to receive or be afforded what the Constitution told us we had coming to us. So she reached out to all these colleges, all these professors to get support. She started doing dinners, where giving gifts away, giving raffles away, and nobody had to pay. You just had to come, and she just rallied the troops to be the support. So that came from Mothers of Mercy. And one day my attorney, Michael Deutsch, he used to call her and say, hey, I need to have Ronnie call me. And then sometimes he wouldn't call me. So I wondered, hey, what happened to my attorney? So I asked her, you've been speaking to Mike? She goes, oh, I talk to him all the time. So I called him jokingly, hey, you don't call me no more? You call my sister? And he said, well, she's the hub. I just called the hub. So I started laughing and I said, I'm going to make an interest group called the Hub. Help us build, because that's what she was doing, right? So he started laughing. And for the next 3 or 4 years, we started exercising that language without chartering it, without 501c3, just doing the activity of a hub. So every time I went to court, 50, 60 people, she was the person that would call them all. She would bug them with the, what do you call them, group text, where you group text people 20.
She bothered me a lot.
Yeah. And
the truth comes out.
Yeah.
Bothered me a lot. See?
Yeah. So she would do the group
No,
text.
bug.
She bugged me. So, she put the footwork in, like a soldier does, put the footwork in to bring the war to the table. So that was what the Hub did. So that branched off into what we're doing right now. At all times, and partially because of your nephew, which is, we're going to get into that later, Pastor Nelson Vargas did a video of a piece of his life story. And it was so dramatic, it was so influential and so powerful that I was involved with it a lot. I stayed out of the way, but I was involved with it a lot. And when I seen the results of it, I said I wanted to one day capture all the testimonies of the people that were related in my life and what they experienced coming to the system, into the system, out of the system. And that meant friends of mine in the system, what it meant for mothers to come there and get touched on and to get searched, that some mothers never came back to the prison because of these things. to come to the institution after driving 5 hours
Wow.
and be turned away and not be able to get in. So there was many factors that we lived through, and I'm not here to bash the Department of Correction. I'm not here to bash the system, because it is a system. It has no feeling, but that we need to put these things on the table and put these things like on Unshackled Building Bridges to build bridges, that better training comes out to Department of Corrections, to law enforcement, to victims, to families of incarcerated people, that we recognize we are all from Illinois. We are all citizens from Illinois. We're all, whoever been to the system are coming back to go home. So it's how we come back. So we need to better treat each other.
So now that I see that, so the advocacy started way back then with the Mothers of Mercy, to the advocating that you do now, going downstate and advocating for these different laws and different changes and stuff, and you've been involved. But I want to ask you two questions. Well, not really two questions. We'll take that out the way. I'm going to give one question right now, and I want to ask you, so, but there was a time when someone actually could have harmed your dad because Ronnie wasn't here and you didn't know what to do, and your dad didn't know who to tell because he didn't want any problems, something like that. I don't know the whole story, but
We won't get into that.
that was
but
crazy. We won't get
let me
into
just-
that, but
let
it
me
was
just make
crazy,
one
wasn't it?
statement there. Rewinding the clock to when that happened, we lost sleep during that time. It was a very scary time for us. But let me tell you this: I wasn't a believer back then. Had I been a believer, things probably would have been a little different. I would have had faith and know that nothing was going to happen. And included with that is, I have a lot of brothers now, like a lot of big brothers that I wouldn't have known who to call. I wouldn't have had to go. You know, that's another thing I protected him from. I didn't even want to tell him what was going on. You know, I didn't want him to know, because what could he do, right? But I could have handled it on my own had I known the people I know now. And you guys all know who I'm talking about. All of you. So, yes.
Sounds like my attorney. Sounds like my attorney. But I would like to mention back about the training process, that what we went through of training. A lot of people see the podcast come out and they don't realize it was 15 years or 20 years or even more of different kind of sufferings. You know, that while I was in one place, me and people there like Peter, there was a friend of ours named Peter, that his mother's Olga Saunders, and a great woman. So there was Sister Janet from the Precious Blood Ministry, who at that time would bring sisters down to the prison and visit us, so that we can talk to each other and have families mingle together and building strength. I was in another prison with Ronaldo Hudson, for example, where he was a programmer. You know, he just excelled in the education department, and he had a desire to teach and train every brother that would receive it, to stop people from marginalizing us, that we're not going to change and we're no good. So he had that quest. You know, he still does it to this day. We have a guy, Modesto, you know, that's still in the system of natural life, who was great with the law. He can teach you the law. He was great with the Bible. So what we did with these people was send them to the same church in the street or the same Bible study. We're associated to a prison ministry called RTO, Radical Timeout. And every Thursday night they meet and they study the Bible. But everybody that's in this facility, sometimes 60, 80, up to 100 people, are affected by either they're going to go into the prison, either they came out of the prison, either their family members are in the prison, or either their family members are paying lawyers. So they're all associated to that concept of bringing people home. And then because they're Christian believers, they believe in redemption and forgiveness. So they train each other to first be strong in a unit and the foundation there, so that when they all go out into their own networks, that they carry that same language. And Deyra became one of their chief sponsors, you can say, all the time going. She went from there, going to Wayside Ministry, going to what you call soup kitchens and feeding and helping people clothe and giving people clothing. So her value is our experiences, you know, and to put emphasis on that harm coming to my family for different reasons, whatever, you know, she fought that off. She fought off the negativity of, to me, my lawyers say 30 denials at the parole board. I'll say 37 denials at the parole board. and the derogatory statements that come with it. You know, that any person, any human being feels when you lose something, it tears at you. And for 37 times to the Prison Review Board, or say 30 if you want to say 30, either way, that tears at the fabric of your family, of your morals, because they're basically, my family's conservative people. They believe in the law. And when they would go to these hearings and hear the language, they would come home and with the mindset, it's not supposed to go like that. How did they do that? And they would have to go back to the drawing board. So I'm saying all this to say, it took a lot of years to establish us to this point, and the reason that we're here today, all three of us we're not done bringing people in front of this camera to tell each of their stories. And we have so many diversified different subjects that are going to come to this table. Our intention today is that we did a podcast, who I was, who I am, who Gilbert is, who he was, and here today, the third part of us, this is it. This is the whole team right here. My sister, who's been in the battlefield for the longest time. And there's other people been in the battlefield, but she decided to come and be part of this. We have family members who just will help you, but that's just not our, to get on film or to do it like that. We'll help you from different ways. So our help comes in different ways, but we're surrounded by currency. Now we don't have the money, but we do have the currency of God, which is love. And that moved the mountains to bring me home.
Amen. So before we close, I'm going to ask you, Ronnie, a question, and then I'm going to ask you, Deyra, a question. And don't mind me, I don't want to be, I got nervousness sometimes. I don't know why. Might be my back. But Deyra, first, Ronnie, I want to ask you in brief, what would you say the vision now is for Unshackled Building Bridges? I mean, you brought it up to here. What would you say the vision is now for Unshackled Building Bridges in short?
In short, bringing the people in that are associated to us, our network, and we're talking divorce, we're talking broken homes, we're talking kids that grew up in the streets with street violence, we're talking victims. Many of us were victims before we created victims. People who are victims. We're talking people that came from being impacted by being in the criminal justice system. We're talking about lawyers. We're talking about interest groups who help these people. We're talking about reintegration groups who help these people when they come home. All these different people are associated to us, and we feel from Unshackled Building Bridges, from sitting right here, these people need to be broadcasted of the work they put in, not yesterday, not today. I'm talking 10 and 20 years without anybody ever bringing them to the format, congratulating them, thanking them, and I believe we're going to tell them stories. And for the people that are still bound in some kind of captivity, we became experts in the system of how to work with our enemies and all the things that are wrong. We learn how to see it, but not see it, to overcome it. So we're here willing to help people that are still shackled to some kind of captivity or not being liberated, and we're able to touch them in some kind of way. And our prayer is that we're the bridge that they can walk across to get to a better life that all of us want to see.
Amen. So now that you say that, my question to you, Deyra, would be, what if someone asks you, what does it mean to build a bridge? What would you tell them?
The first word that comes to my mind is hope.
Amen.
Yes. I think that we're going to be able to help a lot of people that have never told their story. A lot of people are broken and don't know how to talk about it, don't want to talk about it. And by having this door, not only can they talk about it, but if they're hurt, we can find them resources. If not within the three of us, then at least find them a resource to get help for whatever their trauma is.
Amen. So to close this off, I like to say that, you know, it's about building bridges, you know, and bringing people to be accepted, you know, because we could fail, but the problem is once we fail, we're not accepted anymore. So we got to keep being accepted. So failure is just, you got to keep trying, and never give up. You know, nothing's impossible. Nothing's impossible for God. And this is our show, Unshackled Building Bridges. I'm going to let Ronnie close it.
I would like to say there's a documentary, if you have a chance to see, on PBS about a piece of the story of my life, and it's called In Their Hands. And inside this documentary, the reason I even mention it is because Deyra mentioned the word hope. And inside that documentary, you're going to see my attorney, Jennifer Sobel, and Ronaldo Hudson, who help people come home from the incarcerated world, that they lift up their sleeve, and both of them tattooed the word hope on their arms. So that's what building bridges is. We're hoping and having that faith. We're going to be that effective as we have been, without being recognized that we've been doing this work for the longest. But now to get these other people, like my sister said, if they need help they need. And for those that don't need help, those that have a voice, we want their voice to be heard. And that's what we're here for.
So I know there was a documentary made. It's called In Their Hands by PBS.org by Dan Portress. And did that make you feel like a star? Did you need the Emmy Award? Or did that make you feel Deyra, like, now we're going to do something positive? Ronnie?
I would say that everybody, after they seen the video, claimed Deyra to be the star. And that's all fine because of the tears that she shed and the emotions that she did. And you could see her constantly going to the battlefield. So it was not for me, and never no intention of being a star. That documentary was made to put light on and bring attention to a system that's broken. So the credit goes to Dan Protest and basically Jennifer Sobel, Michael Deutsch, Charles Hoffman, my attorneys, who went to Dan Protest to say, hey, there's a flaw in this system. And we went to every recourse for 30 years to try to change it in honesty. We went every rule of the book, and it fails. They're not recognizing the law, and they're acting above the law. It's cronyism, it's unjust. How can we show this? And Dan Protest came to the front and documented it and showed it. So it's not about nobody getting glory. It was not about that. It's about a system that has flaws, and it was to show the powers that be, we need help to change that system. That's what it's for. It's not personal against me. It's not personal against them. It's a system that has grown into a bunch of flaws, and that documentary exposes that.
It's a system that's merciless.
Merciless.
Whatever you call it.
Merciless.
Merciless.
A system has no feelings.
A system that has no feelings. I've been through it. I know it. I know that system. This is Unshackled Building Bridges. I already said.